Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video we're going to be testing our first 410 defensive ammo. So on the table today we have some Winchester PDX1 410 Defender. Now I saw this at the store when I was reaching for some 12 gauge PDX Defender, and I was very surprised they actually made it for 410, so that's why we're testing it today. It's basically comprised of three what they call plated defense disc projectiles, which just look like bronze watch batteries to me. And then behind that, it's backed up by 12 plated BBs. So we're going to be testing this using our Rossi 410 gauge shotgun. We're going to be testing this at that normal indoor range called Sharpshooters Indoor Range in Lorton, Virginia. So let's get out there and see if 410 is an effective means for self-defense. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the results. We fired 2 shells. We're going to be following this bottom one first. Now as they entered, most of the mass of the round stayed together. We have a 1/2 inch permanent cavity that reaches all the way out to 6 inches. From there we start to see the separation of the mass of the projectile. We've got one BB here at rest at 5.5 inches, 2 that actually went a little bit north here, created their own 1/32 of an inch in diameter permanent cavities. They came to rest respectively at the 8.5, 9.5, and the 9-inch mark. From there, most of the mass actually stayed in one little permanent cavity block here. We have a 1/2 inch permanent cavity that continues on. It's actually sideways, so it's a bit difficult to see. And then out here at the 12-inch mark, we start to see that dispersion of those projectiles. We've got one at rest here at the 15.5-inch mark, but most of them actually made it out here to the 19-inch mark. We've got 4 of them out here at rest at the 19-inch mark, which is pretty far. So moving on to our second shot, let's talk a bit about dispersion here. Our shot pattern on the first one was 3 inches in diameter. Our second shot was 3.5 inches, so slightly worse. We had 2 BBs that decided to do their own thing up here, up north. They've got a 1/4 inch permanent cavity, and they came to rest about 6.5 inches into the ballistics gelatin, respectively. Now, most of the mass, again, stayed together, creating that 1/2 inch permanent cavity. This time it reaches out to about 8 inches. That's where we start to see separation. We had one disc pop out here at the 9-inch mark. Pushing on a little bit, we've got one coming out here at 10.5 inches, another one here at 11.5 inches, or rather 12 inches. Now, most of the mass actually stayed inside the block. We had some penetrating out again to 18 inches. Both of them actually came out the bottom, unfortunately, so we didn't get to get a good reading on those. But what's very interesting is out here on the left-hand side, what seems to have happened is I think we have 2 what they call defensive discs in here, and it seems that they had some bounce back, and that's basically when the projectiles push as far as they can in the gel, but the elasticity of the gel brings them back, so there's permanent damage farther out than where they came to rest permanently. And it looks like they bounced around a bit and caused quite a bit of damage. Basically, this performed a lot better than I thought it would. Before this test, I would have never considered 410 for home defense. Obviously, any firearm is better than no firearm, but this PDX1 Defender actually did quite well. I still wouldn't recommend anyone using 410 for home defense, but if it's all you've got, it's definitely not the worst idea.